work boots. 1944 Brogan Doodlebug, 10 HP. The Doodlebug could achieve a top speed of 45 miles per hour and could travel nearly 70 miles on 1 gallon of gas. Oroville, California Railroad Tunnel No. 4, circa early 1910s. A Snapshot of Life from Hollywood, CA, 1938. An emigrant family stands with most of their worldly possessions at Gates P.O., in Custer County, Nebraska, 1886. The Perfume Counter, 1940s. Television Shopping, 1965. RMS Mauritania was one of the most famous ships ever built on Tyneside, 1909. Edgar Mitchell captures Alan Shepard proudly holding the American flag on the moon during the Apollo 14 mission, February 1971. This was Shepard's second trip to space, but his first steps on the lunar surface. Albert Einstein in his famous photo before he stuck his tongue out, 1951. A steel worker's family in their kitchen in Pittsburgh, 1940s. A stewardess serving a couple in a private suit on board an aircraft in the 1940s. Woman sipping coffee in front of a new television set in the Hotel New Yorker, 1948. Teenagers dancing to rock and roll music playing on a jukebox, 1959. Construction worker making preparations for the removal of the original Statue of Liberty torch in 1985. The old torch went on a tour of the US before it was moved to the Statue of Liberty Museum. Milkman, checking out a little boy's muscle, 1963. Man in car using a drive-in telephone on Route 40, north of Baltimore, Maryland, 1959. Women drying their hair in the beauty shop at the Crowley Milner department store in Detroit, Michigan, 1941. Elementary students place their heads on their desks during the day's rest period, 1943. Shopping in Cooperative Market in Green Hills, Ohio, 1938. A boy with his Vespa scooter, which has 34 mirrors and 81 lights on the front and back, all bought with his pocket money in Leicestershire, England, 1983. Schoolboys walk home together after class in Brooklyn, New York, 1940. A barefoot farm boy at Wabash Farms, Indiana, 1938. A teacher watches over her students as they receive lessons from the Library Media Center, 1972. Requirements for the United Airlines stewardess in 1954. Sophia Loren in Naples, Italy, 1961. Birth of Sean Hepburn Ferrer, son of Mel Ferrer and Audrey Hepburn. 1960. Christopher Atkins with Brooke Shields while filming The Blue Lagoon, 1980. Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder, 1991. Colorized photo of Albert Einstein, Nassau Point, Long Island, New York, 1939. Lauren Bacall, Marilyn Monroe, and Betty Grable for the box office hit, How to Marry a Millionaire, 1953. Jane Mansfield posing with Miss Hollywood, 1957. A group of children line up on a playground slide, circa 1935. Princess Diana with an AIDS patient, 1989.
Three young girls dressed up in Spanish Harlem, NYC, 1966. A well-dressed lady standing next to her car, Washington, D.C., 1935. Grocery store clerk at King's Supermarket, 1950. London secretary showing off the latest fashions, 1966. The 1939 Schlorwagen was designed by German engineer Hans Schuler von Westhofen-Durmstein. Stonehenge, 1877 and 2025. A young Liza Minnelli standing next to a portrait of herself, circa 1950. Riding the New York City subway in the 1980s. Jane Mansfield grocery shopping in Las Vegas, 1959. Macaulay Culkin and his wife Brenda Song.
Club Allegro Fortissimo, Paris 1990. Daredevil Jamie Reynolds, 1917. Family in NYC, Crossing at E51st Street, 1954. Elvis Presley and Sophia Loren, 1958. This is the only known Nintendo PlayStation prototype, which sold for $360,000 in 2020. Cincinnati Bengals sign autographs in fashionable attire. 1974. Sophia Loren and Gina Lollobrigida together. Aren't they so beautiful? 1928. A woman dancing on the Sphinx. A pyramid can be seen in the background. Pan Am 747 SP first class dining on the main deck. Late 1970s. The iconic moment of Marilyn Monroe struggling to hold down her billowing white dress was captured during the filming of The 7-Year Itch 1955 on September 15, 1954, at the corner of Lexington Avenue and 52nd Street in Manhattan.
Bonnie and Clyde's car after they were killed in 1934. Harold Whittles, hearing sound for the first time, 1974. Workers during the restoration of Notre Dame, Paris, 1952. Alfred Hitchcock lying in the River Thames for inspiration, London, 1948. Austrian boy receives new shoes during World War II. 2 bullets that met head-on during the Battle of Fredericksburg Civil War, 1862. A British postman on his rounds, London Blitz, 1940. The graves of a Catholic woman and her Protestant husband, Holland, 1888. View from the Empire State Building on its opening day, May 1st, 1931. Changing street lamps, 1909.
Jonathan Left, the oldest living tortoise at about 187 years old, 1886. Hans Langseth, once the man with the world's longest beard, circa 1912. Female Indian telephone switchboard operator, 26 June 1925. When the Beatles met Muhammad Ali in Miami, 1964. Boys listening to their crystal radio receivers, complete with headphones, 1920s. Roy Dunn and Tiger the Goat setting, a record for highest jump for a goat, 1905. One of the first underwater photographs, taken by French marine biologist Louis Boutin in 1893. Getting a Taste, Ireland, 1950s. Man statue in Eiffel Tower, 1975.
Passed her incredibly unique hair trait down to her daughter, and the two shared a beautiful photo. Thomas Wadhouse was a circus performer in 1730 who allegedly had the world's longest nose at 20 centimeters, 7.8 inches long. A wholesome photo of a puma cub looking up at its mother. The first ever dog-fox hybrid, known as a dog sim, was discovered in Brazil after being hit by a car and taken to a vet. This is Hokkaido Beach in Japan, where snow, sand, and sea come together. An X-ray examination of a statue from Saqqara, an ancient burial site located south of present-day Cairo, revealed that there was a cat inside. The first photo was taken of the Titan submersible on the ocean floor after the implosion. A baby elephant hides behind a light pole after being caught eating sugarcane. A 30-million-year-old praying mantis, perfectly preserved in amber, has been discovered. This is a rare behind-the-scenes photo of Disney's 101 Dalmatians, 1961. A photographer captured the sun looking like devil horns off the coast of Qatar during an eclipse.
1973, Amar Baraki lifted his right hand in the air and has held it up for the last 50 years. A 2001 Volvo got stuck on a tiny island which has officially been named Volvo Island. A man kisses his fiancée for the last time after receiving a life sentence in prison. This tortoise saved his entire species from extinction after having over 800 babies. In 1977, a young Argentine farmer lost his wife and he planted a guitar-shaped forest in her honor. In 2010, a massive sinkhole 60 feet wide and 30 stories deep opened up in the center of Guatemala City. In Mexico, this dog walked through a parade for the Pope thinking it was for him. This train station has a mystery vending machine where you can buy whatever is in the unclaimed packages from delivery lockers. Aerial view photo of zebras depict an optical illusion of horses trotting. Beached compass jellyfish with a fish prey trapped inside. This man kept his sprinklers on before he evacuated the wildfire. Probably the best decision he's ever made.
D-Day in the Jaws of Death, June 6, 1944. Babies sleeping outdoors to boost immunity in Moscow. The Undertaker and medical staff after mankind's unscripted fall. French boy meets Indian soldiers in Marseille. Man taking a selfie using a wooden stick. Otto Frank revisits Anne Frank's hideout. He is the only surviving family member. Joseph Stalin detained in Bailov prison in Azerbaijan. American soldier with a crown from the Holy Roman Empire. The coffin of the unknown soldier in Westminster Abbey. Soviet peasants listening to our radio for the first time. Lumberjacks hand-chopping a large tree in 1915. Thames town in China that uses British architecture. Reindeers in Finland with reflector-sprayed antlers to prevent traffic accidents. Tardigrade, the toughest animal on Earth, measuring 0.3 millimeters.
a recreation of the blood vessels in a human head. A nuclear bomb just 0.016 seconds after detonating. A photo of the notorious B.I.G. before fame.
An anti-bandit briefcase shown here would release its contents all over the ground if a thief tried to steal it. This revolver pistol had a small camera that automatically takes a picture of the victim when you pull the trigger. This giant fan-powered car was trialed in the 1910s, but didn't catch on due to the impractical shape of it. A Japanese rainsaver umbrella that would collect the water to be used for your own desires. Metal detector sandals that allowed you to find buried treasures while strolling the beach. Despite being fairly practical, they never made the cut.
This 1961 air-conditioned lawnmower was created but never made it to the public. There were few places in the USA where you'd overheat by simply cutting the lawn.
A heated knife that would toast bread as you sliced it. Despite saving time, it seems a little dangerous. This strange extendable arm was used by owners to restrain their pet dogs. The idea was short-lived though.
Thermal imaging of a typical husky showing just how much heat the fur can actually insulate. Private photos of the former leader of Syria found in the abandoned palace after he fled. A man receives a successful full-face transplant after a self-inflicted gun wound. A road sign in Seattle flashed this unsettling message on Highway 99 after the recent assassination. A rare coin depicting Brutus, Caesar's infamous assassin, recently sold for $2 million. Great cane rats are a large species of rat in Ghana. They are the preferred bushmeat for kids because of their sweet and soft meat. The tomb of St. Nicholas, who inspired Santa Claus, has been found underneath a church in Turkey. A newly discovered species of tiny mushroom found in Taiwan. Children's socks from Egypt from around 300 CE. These colorful wool socks were created nearly 1700 years ago. This truck transporting an elephant stopping for fuel. The oldest known tattoo tools made from sharpened turkey leg bones from 3,500 years ago. The base of an offshore oil rig platform being towed out to sea. A giant French flag from the ship Le Généreux that sailed in the 1800s. A selfie of the Chinese Chang'e 6 probe from the movable camera it carries on the moon. Photograph of Iapetus, one of Saturn's moons, captured by the Cassini spacecraft. Script for Grand Theft Auto 3 versus the script for Grand Theft Auto 4. This artist with severe cerebral palsy just finished an entire mural using his head. Prototype and experimental weapons vehicle from during the Cold War. This is a deep-sea barrel-eye fish with tubular eyes and a transparent head. This one standing in Oymyakon, Russia, where temperatures reach -95 degrees. A 37-million-year-old whale skeleton fossil found in the Egyptian desert. Amazon deliveries on Mackinac Island, Michigan, being delivered by horse and cart. Wembanyama measuring 7 feet 4, and Togashi measuring 5 feet 4 playing basketball at the Olympics. This plant found in Australia can cause a severe throbbing pain for years. A rare photo of a glow-in-the-dark cat shark. Usuri Beach, located in Russia, is filled with pebbles made of glass instead of sand. A top-down view of a tree after it had been split in half from getting struck by lightning. A variant of Koshu pink grapes found in some regions of Japan. Stuart Freeborn, the designer of Yoda, actually based the puppet's face on his own. Some watermelons can turn to mush and explode unexpectedly. This praying mantis embedded in amber is about 30 million years old. Native American children taken from their families and put into school to assimilate them into white society. Astronaut Dale Gardner advertises 2 satellites with a joke for sale sign that are to be returned to Earth via the space shuttle in 1984. A photograph of Mehran Nasseri, an Iranian refugee who became well known for living in an airport for 18 years. A 4-bedroom modern the opening of the Eiffel Tower during the 1889 World's Fair. It was opened to celebrate the 100th year anniversary of the French Revolution. Astonishing case of a man living with a parasitic twin known as the Double Man in the early 1900s. Henry Ford and wife pictured in 1946 in the first car his company built back in the 1890s. Control room of the German World War I submarine in 1918. Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese on the set of Taxi Driver 1976. Unpacking the Mona Lisa at the end of World War II, 1945. Vice President Richard Nixon and his family hanging out with actor Clint Eastwood at Disneyland in 1955. A gecko in its natural habitat, hiding by using perfect camouflage. Can you see it? A rare shot of blood falls in Antarctica. It is caused by a subterranean lake high in salt and oxidized iron. This image shows the original Hooters Airlines mid-flight. The journey also included free beer, but the airline ceased operations after only 3 years. This is the world's longest insect at over 2 feet long. It's part of a new stick insect species found in China. Giant oarfish keep washing ashore in California, but no one knows why. Folklore suggests that it could be a bad omen. The police in Dongemond in the Netherlands have found this 2-kilogram garden gnome made entirely of MDMA. This is one of the clearest pictures ever taken on the surface of Venus. The rover succumbed to the harsh environment after only 127 minutes. A regular cheetah next to a king cheetah, a very rare recessive gene. The 8th armor suits had an ever so slightly size-exaggerated codpiece. Elizabeth Francis, the oldest person in the U.S., has recently died in Houston at the age of 115. Feel free to pay her respect in the comments section. This material is around 5 stories of the World Trade Center compressed into one from the impact. It can now be found in the 9/11 Museum. A rare shot of the cockpit inside one of the Concorde superspeed aircrafts. It consists of over double the instruments inside a normal airplane. Ripe bananas actually glow bright blue under a black light. This is most likely due to chlorophyll breaking down as they ripen. Aerogel is the lightest solid material on our planet, being made out of 99.9% air. It's strong enough to support 2,000 times its own weight. These are tourists drinking tea and sunbathing on top of the Great Pyramid in 1938. General access to the top is now prohibited. This cat with a bicolor face is the father of 2 kittens who shared each of the colors. This is the actual size of a cross-section of a Boeing 747 unseen by passengers. These are the horns of the Watusi cattle, a crossbreed between an Egyptian and an Asian species. Zinnia was the first ever flower to bloom on the International Space Station in January 2016. D.B. Cooper's infamous parachute may have just been found, breaking open the 50-year-old cold case. A rare species of scarab beetle known for its reflective metallic appearance. It's found only in forests in Costa Rica and western Panama. The tallest mountain in the solar system on Mars. It has a height of 21.9 kilometers, 13 kilometers higher than Mount Everest. This tarantula is a gynandromorph, meaning it has both male and female characteristics. An extremely rare occurrence of snowfall in the Sahara Desert. It's only happened a few times in the last 40 years. Protesters shove a giant inflatable penis into the entrance of an Argentinian bank. This was due to the 2001 economic crisis. John F. Kennedy and Jackie on their wedding day in 1953. He was later assassinated beside her 10 years after. A photo from inside the Second World Trade Center as the 9/11 attacks were happening. The photographer escaped and survived. A rare photo of Albert Einstein actually lecturing in 1922. He was teaching the class the theory of relativity. The Beatles preparing to cross Abbey Road in 1969. The image then became one of the most iconic music cover photos ever. The Princess May after running aground on rocks in Alaska in 1910. The passengers, crew, and cargo were all evacuated safely. Had scattered on the table, create a musical piece, which sounds a little like. This Italian painting of Mary with an infant Jesus sparks UFO controversy. The background secret. On closer inspection you can see a ghostly female silhouette inside the painting. After experts x-rayed the original painting, they found a completely separate piece of art within it. The iconic Last Supper painting by Leonardo da Vinci is not all as it seems. The pieces, many of us have seen the incredible Creation of Adam painting by Michelangelo. But did you know the red cloak surrounding God on the right-hand side is an exact copy of the human brain, despite being painted in the 1500s? Although difficult to see at first, the old guitarist painting by Picasso houses a creepy sound, shows a strange flying object which looks out of place. Could this really be an ancient depiction of an alien UFO? What do you think? Leave a comment on the video. This is a flintlock pistol once owned by the French Emperor Napoleon himself. A golden scarab beetle bracelet worn by Tutankhamun over 3,000 years ago. A perfectly preserved Viking vessel made of oak in Norway from 820 AD. A 270,000-year-old extracted section from a Quran manuscript discovered in Spain. A perfectly preserved mummified cat from Egypt in the 1st century BC. A 2,000-year-old Chinese lunchbox from the Three Kingdoms period. An original ceramic coffin used in Japan from the Kofun period around 4th century AD. a 2,000-year-old Roman face lotion with finger marks still in it. The Rosetta Stone from Egypt, written with 3 languages including hieroglyphics. The text states some business tax laws from the time period. The world's oldest unopened bottle of wine from 300 AD. The oldest completed musical composition ever found, containing lyrics and musical notation from the 1st century. Fossilized creatures that look like they belong on another planet. Hiroshima's peace flame, lit since 1964. Manhattan Project physicist Harold Agnew held the nuclear core of Fat Man, the bomb that destroyed Nagasaki. A baby barn owl mid-run, adorable and rare, will burn until all nuclear weapons are eradicated. The back room of the Natural History Museum filled with specimens that rarely see the light of day. A Dutch supermarket introduced chat checkouts to combat loneliness among the elderly. A flying fish up close, nature's aerodynamic marvel. Meet the Yamaki pine, a 400-year-old bonsai tree that survived the Hiroshima bombing in 1945. It symbolizes resilience and strength. Olympic weightlifter Paul Anderson used wagon wheels as makeshift weights to train for the 1956 Olympics, where he won gold. Huitlacoche, a fungus-infected corn delicacy used in soups and quesadillas in Mexican cuisine. Meekithorn, the town without roads, where boats are the primary means of transport. In 1912, a woman used a charging station for her Columbia Mark 68 Victoria electric car. Over a century ago, the world's smallest vertebrate, the Pediphrine amoensis frog, barely larger than a coin. The world's first stroller, designed to be pulled by goats. Rainbow grapes, grapes that naturally transition from green to purple as they ripen. Pathologist Thomas Harvey kept part of Albert Einstein's brain in a jar for 40 years after performing the autopsy in 1955. Close your eyes, and then barely open them. What do you see? Shadows? Light? Or something surreal? A Guinness World Record, 29 people crammed into a Mini Cooper, 2014, and 41 in a Toyota RAV4, 2015. A rare 2-headed dolphin washed ashore in Turkey. The only plane allowed to take off during 9/11 carried a man bitten by one of the most venomous snakes, rushing him to medical help. In Sedona, Arizona, McDonald's had to use a distinctive blue color for their sign instead of yellow, due to strict regulations preserving the natural landscape. Rock in Finland has been perfectly balancing for over 10,000 years. A Harley-Davidson motorcycle ambulance used in the 1920s. A Sky Whale hot air balloon created in Australia. This is what grass looks like under a microscope. The size comparison of the AN-225 plane next to regular-sized passenger jets. Cyclists at the Tour de France in the 1920s smoking cigarettes as it was thought to expand the lungs. Humpback whale bones found in Corcovado National Park, Costa Rica. The film reel size for the Oppenheimer movie in IMAX theaters. This is the basement in Wisconsin where the Dungeons and Dragons game was created. Lemons float in water whereas limes sink to the bottom. The only photo of the Concorde flying at Mach 2. A heavily armored pickup truck used to chase tornadoes for studies. This Singapore Airlines first class has a full bed for couples. Of Anthony Sowell's house. Police found unsettling discoveries like a fresh grave and a human head in a bucket. A photo of Ed Gein's farmhouse. Police found a number of grisly objects, like a chair made of human skin, bowls and spoons made of human bones, and a lampshade made from a human face. Police excavate the backyard of Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. He was later convicted of killing 49 women. A photo inside John Christie's home in London around the 1950s. Here, a policeman crouches in the back room where Christie hid one of at least 8 bodies. The basement of Fred and Rosemary West. The couple were convicted of 10 murders. This cellar held many of their victims where they were tortured and killed. The bed inside Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment where he killed over 15 men. The wall above the bed has an unsettling red stain. 5-year-old Albert Einstein in 1884. The oldest Indian, John Smith, managed to live in 3 different centuries before dying at 137 years old. A Victorian home being moved via horsepower in San Francisco, 1908. A young Clint Eastwood poses in his mid-20s in 1956. Vancouver's first official lifeguard, Joe Fortes, in 1905. He saved dozens of lives over his career. Economy class seating on a Pan Am Airlines 747 in 1970. A man being rescued from a truck cab after an accident in California in 1953. A Los Angeles police officer takes care of an abandoned baby by placing it in her desk drawer, 1971. The cue for the premiere of the first Star Wars film, 1977. Of bird that look like a dragon due to their feather coloring. Pythons have been selectively bred to the point where you can purchase ones that have emojis on them. This is a 1,500-year-old Byzantine bathtub in ancient Tunisia, uncovered by Denmark. The restaurant at Legoland has fries that are shaped like 2x2 Lego bricks. The power lines at Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana, USA, going behind the horizon, showing the Earth's curvature. This is all that was left of a Waffle House restaurant after a hurricane. This is an official government device that is used to cause a train to derail from the tracks. Interaction with women. He suffers from gynophobia, an intense fear of females. Archaeologists. A 1 in a million rare cloud formation that causes them to be a perfectly spherical shape. A 71-year-old man from Africa has lived in isolation for 55 years to avoid the largest crocodile in captivity, measuring 20 feet and 3 inches. A close-up of a snake's fangs with holes to eject venom. A photo taken by NASA of a space shuttle leaving the atmosphere. A tree that naturally grew a loop in its trunk. A McDonald's in Guam which is built inside a trailer. Muhammad Ali sat in his car that played vinyl records in the 1960s. A photo of polar stratospheric rainbow clouds taken in the UK. Korea, China, and Germany have parking spaces designated for women. The Holy Trinity Monastery suspended in the air on a natural pillar. The bacteria from a 5-year-old boy's hand after playing outside. An aerial shot showing part of a densely populated Delhi in India. Nancy Sinatra performing for the U.S. Army in Vietnam, 1967. The winner of the Miss America Beauty Contest in 1924. A young Rainn Wilson, aka Dwight from The Office TV show, pictured in the 80s. 30s and 40s, some cars were designed with seats that reclined into convertible beds. Lonnie Johnson, inventor of the Super Soaker, pictured in 1992. Barack Obama waits backstage before taking the oath of office, 2009. Men stood with the absolutely massive chain for the Titanic's anchor, 1909. A woman takes frozen laundry off the clothesline in the 1950s. In the Metallica performing a full 10-song set at the San Quentin prison in 2003. An Atlanta boys high school basketball player shooting a free throw against Tech High School in 1921. Robert Wadlow, the tallest ever man in history, measuring 8 feet 11 in the late 30s. Evolution of the donut hole through the years from 1927 to 1948. Dolly Parton with her husband Carl Dean, together since her first day in Nashville. Satchel Paige at his final pro baseball game at age 59. He pitched 3 scoreless innings. Stuntman Dar Robertson jumps from 7 stories in 1974 to demonstrate the inflatable landing bag. Robin Williams signing autographs and telling stories at a homeless shelter in Boston, 1988. NASA astronaut Bruce McCandless floating untethered in space, 1984. This man shows his excess skin before and after losing 360 pounds of fat. The famous tallest elephant in India makes a public appearance to tens of thousands of fans. A close-up of a human eye compared to the Helix Nebula, located in the Aquarius constellation, an alpaca seen without any of its fur. The Russian cursive writing that is still used in some parts of the country today. This is what the inside of a movie theater screen looks like. This giant plant grew in a couple's garden whilst they were away on vacation. A giant Roman mosaic floor was found hidden under this vineyard in the Italian countryside. This fish was unluckily fossilized whilst in the middle of trying to eat another fish. The most expensive store-bought alcohol in London, costing $170,000 US. This is the largest recorded polar bear, shot in Alaska in 1960. It stood at around 12 feet tall. The attachment on an airplane used to artificially change and manipulate the weather. During the 1700s, endless lobsters washed up on Massachusetts beaches and were considered the poor man's chicken, eventually being used to feed to prisoners and slaves. A motorcyclist helmet after a bad motorcycle accident and sliding across the road. A daily rush hour traffic jam in Ho Chi Minh City, the capital of Vietnam. Lagoons of water have been found in the Sahara Desert after 50 years of being dry, allowing plants to start growing. This dog was left in a shelter because it has the vitiligo skin condition. Comment a heart if you still think he's a beautiful doggo. This is the billion-dollar window seat view from the recent private spaceflight. Philadelphia Zoo has an aerial catwalk for tigers. Pablo Escobar posing for a photo outside the White House. X-ray of a person being smuggled into a country in a suitcase. Jordan Belford, aka the Wolf of Wall Street, on his boat. A Detroit electric car from 1910. It had a range of 100 miles and a top speed of 25 miles per hour. The Nile River seen from space orbit. How this crew films the aquatic segments on Survivor. Motorized roller skates refueled at a gas station in 1961. An apartment block in China housing 30,000 people. People riding a Victorian roller coaster in the year 1900. A close-up photo of a dragonfly wing. Winona Ryder on the Beetlejuice set in 1988. The man beside her was actually the art supervisor for the film. A baby deer pictured as it's curled up beside a fake deer that was used for target practice. This is the most detailed model of a human cell to date. The part shown is a cross-section through a eukaryotic cell. This is a comparison of a human skeleton and a gorilla skeleton. Some say it's reminiscent of average Walmart customers. This man fishing off the coast of New Hampshire caught a 1,000-pound bluefin tuna completely unaided on his own. This image shows the comparison between an Americana bison and a typical Indian bison. The FBI's physical fingerprint file warehouse facility in 1944, before the introduction of digital technology. This is the Ocean Farm One, a contraption capable of producing up to 12,000 tons of farmed fish per year. Person opened a banana peel to discover a rare double-conjoined banana inside. This photograph taken in Australia shows a snake being swallowed whole by a frog. A skeleton on display in a museum of a person suffering from extreme scoliosis. This photo shows an office of a navigation hotline before the invention of GPS guidance. The size difference between the left Oreo made in the USA versus the right Oreo made in Peru. One of the World Trade Centers shortly after starting construction in the 1970s. A photo through a telescope of Saturn passing behind the moon in orbit. A special Braille Rubik's Cube so that blind people can enjoy playing with the puzzle too. Archaeologists in Egypt have unearthed a 3,200-year-old sword with hieroglyphs. This person managed to carve the entirety of the alphabet into the tip of a single pencil. A rare flavor of Coca-Cola in Japan that is completely clear and has 0 calories. This is how natural bodybuilders looked in the late 1800s, before the introduction of any steroids or supplements. World's oldest leather shoe estimated to be 5,000 years old. Geomagnetic storms viewed from International Space Station. Dinosaur being air-delivered to Boston's Museum of Science in 1984. Pope Innocent XI from the 1600s on display in St. Peter's. Galileo's telescopes and tools on display in a museum. Behind the scenes of GoldenEye, which had the largest amount of miniature work ever in a James Bond movie. 3 different period bridges seen together. The arches got bigger with each advancement. The Eiffel Tower made from over 700,000 matchsticks. A giant eagle captured in Brownsville, Texas, when egg whites turn completely transparent when boiled. A man taking a selfie in 1957 by using a piece of wood to activate the camera shutter. This wave is called Chicama, and it became the first wave in the world protected by state law. Does this creep anyone else out? An image by NASA of a hole drilled into the rocky surface of the planet Mars. Chinese water deer, a species of deer that evolved fangs instead of antler. This is what a sunset looks like from the International Space Station. This is trinitite, a type of glass formed after the first nuclear tests from the sand surrounding the test area. This man isn't floating, he stood on perfectly clear ice on a lake. This house is plotted on a giant rock above the rest of the town in Greece. A Polish 9-barrel shotgun that is now on display at the National Museum in Krakow. This door to the dining area of a monastery in Portugal was made narrow so that monks who got too fat were forced to go into fasting. This African family is made up of the world's only non-euplets that all survived birth. Cassius, a 120-year-old, 18-foot-long alligator weighing nearly 3,000 pounds. How long do you think you could survive near it? Thousands of sea lions have resorted to sleeping on San Carlos Beach in California due to an orca sighting nearby. The National Fishing Development Board headquarters in India is shaped like a giant fish. This bus has an actual piece of car attached on the back, which is used as a warning for drivers to keep their distance, for complaining about taking their eyes off the road. This is a 20-sided die found in Egypt, dating back to 200 BC. This Australian gardener has created a new variety of avocado after 30 years of trying. It no longer goes brown when left out on the counter. The difference in size and price of the McDonald's Big Mac from 1980 to 2024. An altered map found in a Chinese hotel lobby depicting China as the center of the earth. Buick created the first car touchscreen in 1986. The technology was dropped because customers gator lizard fighting back from inside the belly of a king snake after being swallowed whole. A 9-hour 14-lane traffic jam after the Burning Man festival in Nevada. This man was discovered to be unknowingly missing 90% of his brain, yet he was living a normal life. This photo showing the transit of Venus across the sun cannot be taken again. Lightning flowers often appear on the skin of lightning strike survivors. They are caused by the capillaries expanding under the skin. A very rare $100,000 bill. Only 12 remain in existence and it's illegal to own one. Negotiations between the zoo director and an escaped chimpanzee in 1988. An ascetic with a metal grid welded around his neck so that he can never lie down in the 1800s. A Princess Diana look-alike contest in Washington, D.C. 1985. An 8-year-old mine worker from the early 1900s. Huntington Beach in California during the oil boom of 1928. This is a drawing of Elvis Presley by a 14-year-old Jimi Hendrix after seeing him in concert. The last picture of the faithful dog who waited for over 9 years outside a station for his master to return, even after he had died, 1935. There was once an entire wheat field grown in New York City near Wall Street in 1982. 91,000 people attend Dempsey versus Carpentier boxing fight in 1921. Moving an early 1900s house across a freeway in Oakland, California, 1973. Lufthansa serving draft beer to passengers mid-flight in the 1960s.
And smiles after the tree he planted 35 years ago saved a bus from plunging off a cliff in the Philippines. The bee orchid is a sneaky mimic. Its velvety lip looks like a female bee. Hokkaido Beach in Japan, where sand sea and snow meet. A sheep shows gratitude to the dog who saved them from a wolf attack. 3,000-year-old sandals belong to Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun. Aerial view of abandoned Soviet tanks in Siberia. Friedrichshafen reconnaissance seaplane crashed into the roof of a building in Germany, 1918. The Hobbit movie set situated on a family-run farm in Waikato, New Zealand. A woodpecker's acorn stash in a granary tree. 8,000-year-old painting in a cave in Spain depicts a human figure foraging honey. Roman rock crystal gaming dice marked 1 to 6, just like any modern dice, 1st century AD.
These stairs in a Japanese pharmacy show the calories burned with every step. A pile of 1 million dead mosquitoes from a mosquito research center. The pile sits at over 8 inches tall. A cross-section of road from England showing the corresponding time periods of each surface. This image shows what a thunder and lightning storm looks like from above the clouds. A 2-milligram dose of fentanyl powder on a pencil tip, which is enough to kill most people. This person has a 300-year-old bonsai tree passed down through multiple family generations. The Walgreens in Chicago used to be a bank. Now the vault is used for the vitamin section. This entire iceberg mysteriously flipped upside down one day. These are the real colors of a rosy maple moth found in North America. This is the full reconstructed skeleton of a stingray. These crew members are standing in the storage tanker of a ship transporting gas. Does this creep anyone else out? Cicadas are briefly colored a fluorescent glowing blue when they're first born. Dwayne Johnson making his WWE debut in 1996. Soviet scientist Dr. Demikov with a 2-headed dog. Walking on the frozen solid Mississippi River in February of 1905. Frozen fire trucks in a cold Boston during the 1920s. A man in 1903 after catching the world's biggest Black Sea bass. Egyptian guides with tourists at the pyramids in 1867. The funeral of Bruce Lee in Hong Kong, 1973. The oldest wooden school in the USA dating back to 1716. A Siberian winter in 1960 with snow as deep as power lines. Photos taken of the moon dating back to as early as 1860. London's first black police officer on duty in 1968. A Casio pocket calculator that doubled as a cigarette lighter in 1979. An Indian woman carrying a British man on her back in the early 1900s. 3. A Lufthansa flight attendant serves beer from a keg during a flight in the 1960s. How infants traveled in aeroplanes in the 1950s. An incredible 40,000-year-old mammoth recently discovered. Female students walk in the city of Kabul, Afghanistan, 1972. The average, a young Morgan Freeman at age 21 in 1958. Children's playground in Dallas, 1900. The old Cincinnati Library, operating from 1874 to 1955. A Soviet water polo player with his grandson in the 1990s. This concert ticket from 1956. Factoring in inflation, this is the equivalent of $17 today. This Ukrainian sniper broke the record for the longest confirmed sniper kill at 12,468 feet. The bullet took 9 seconds to reach its target. A rare photo of engineers repairing a 5G cell phone tower in Arizona disguised as a cactus. This is the world's first diving suit, originally made in 1715 from cow leather. A photo inside a typical prisoner's cell in the Storstrøm prison located in Denmark. Denmark currently has one of the lowest murder rates in the world. These are the skulls of a typically normal dog breed and a pug. The deformation has been caused by generations of forced breeding. This is the actual gun that started World War I, used to assassinate the